Have you ever had that moment where someone asks you, "So what's new with you?" And your brain just kind of goes empty? I mean, yeah, you've done stuff, you've experienced things, but you can't zone in and find a single thing that sounds like an answer. Well, that happened to me at a birthday dinner a couple years ago. I mean, everyone's here at the table doing the casual life updating stuff. One guy got prompted. One girl was moving abroad for some job she was genuinely excited about, and a couple across from me had just bought an apartment. They had these cool photos, and everyone's just passing the phone around going, "No way, look at that balcony." Then it got around to me, and, well, I had nothing. I said something like, "Oh yeah, same old, just working," and then did a little laugh and reached for the bread so I'd have something to do with my hands. And then I spent pretty much the rest of that dinner just not really there. I was nodding along, kind of just half listening, running the numbers on my entire existence in my head. Him, promoted. Her, moving abroad. Them, balcony. Me, bread. And then on the drive home, I remembered the exact thought, word for word, because it honestly landed like a verdict. I have done nothing with my life. I had believed that for a long time. I mean, not as a mood, but as a fact. Like my height. Everyone else was building something, collecting these different things, becoming people, and I'd somehow slept through the window where that happens. And if you've ever felt that, the dinner table, the scroll through someone's engagement photos, the moment that a younger person than you achieves the thing that you haven't, then this video's for you. Because here's what took me way too long to figure out. That feeling wasn't really coming from my life. It was more so coming from the scoreboard that I was using to measure my life. And the scoreboard was broken. And I'm not talking like slightly off, but broken in 3 very specific ways. And I'd like to talk you through each one, because once you see them, well, I mean, you genuinely can't unsee them. 1, you're comparing your backstory to everyone else's highlight. Now, think about what you actually see of other people's lives. Results. That's it. We saw the promotion. I saw the apartment, the relationship. I mean, you see the trophies in people's lives. But what you never see is the 10 years of stuff that led them to that trophy. All the failed attempts, the luck, the head starts, all the stuff that their parents paid for, the nights that they were crying about it. It's all invisible. You're comparing your entire behind-the-scenes footage, every doubt and dead end included, to a 30-second trailer of somebody else's life. But it's actually worse than that, because you don't even see their present, honestly. What you end up seeing is just a version they chose to show you. Let me tell you what happened with the promoted guy. Months after that dinner, I ended up at another thing with him, and we got talking properly. Like, actually talking. We were 5 drinks in, pushed past all the small talk, and he told me he was miserable. Hated his job, hadn't hated it for a while, and the promotion that made me feel like a failure over dinner just meant more hours of the thing he hated. And now, the salary was good enough that he felt like he couldn't leave. He said, "I feel like I got promoted into a trap." And I just sat there, because I had spent an entire evening sitting there feeling worthless next to this man. I drove home and delivered a verdict of my entire life using his life as the evidence. And the person actually living that life didn't even want it. I mean, that right there is the trap. And it's what I want you to really get from this. When you say, "I've done nothing," what you actually mean is, I've done nothing compared to a curated highlight reel of people whose real lives I know almost nothing about. You're losing a competition against footage. And here's another rule of comparison that nobody follows. You can't cherry pick. I mean, you don't get to want just his salary. If you're gonna be jealous of that person's life, then you have to take the whole thing. His salary and his Sunday dread. Her apartment and whatever's going on in that relationship behind closed doors that you'll never see. Their engagement photos and the argument they had in the car on the way to take them. I mean, would you really take the full package? Because I wouldn't have taken his. I just didn't know that yet sitting next to him at dinner. I mean, you never know what the full package is. Which means that every comparison you're actually making is a comparison against a character, not a person. And you're letting a character make you feel like you've done nothing. 2, you're grading yourself on a timeline you didn't create. Alright, here's a good question, and I want you to genuinely try and answer this one. Where did your deadlines come from? I mean, you have them, let's be honest. Everybody does. A degree by 22, real career by 25, a serious relationship by 27. Whatever your version is, there's some sort of schedule up in your head, and you feel behind on it. But who wrote it? Honestly, I went looking for mine, and what I found was genuinely kind of embarrassing. I don't know, when I was about 15 or so, I watched some documentary about a startup founder who'd made it big by 25 years old. Sold the company, the whole story, and I kind of remember sitting there just thinking, cool, that's the plan then. A successful by 25. And that was pretty much it. That's the whole origin. Some 15-year-old kid watching one documentary and assigning myself a life deadline, which I would then spend the next decade feeling behind schedule for missing. I never renegotiated it. I never once tried to stop and ask myself, wait, is that even my number? I mean, where did 25 come from? I just kind of carried it around like it was law and beat myself up every year I got closer to it without the sold company and the documentary about me. And then when I actually looked at the rest of my mental schedule, it was all like that. I mean, the whole thing was a collage. A bit from my parents' generation, when the housing math was completely different. A little bit from school, which prepares you for a path that most people don't even end up on. A bit from whatever successful people the algorithm happened to show me at, like, 16. None of it was mine. I'd never chosen any of it. I just absorbed it and then internalized all that. And that's what most of us are walking around with. A timeline assembled by complete accident out of other people's lives and then enforced like a court order. Here's the thing, though. There is no real schedule. Nobody's checking. There's no office that you report to at 25 where someone reviews all your big milestones. I mean, this whole married by this age, career by that age thing, it's some story that we all collectively agreed to pretend is real. And the people who look, quote, on track, they're not more disciplined than you. Their randomly assembled collage just so happened to line up with how their randomly assembled life went. That's it. That is the whole difference. So when you feel like you've really done nothing, check what you're grading against. Because there's probably a decent chance that you haven't actually failed at life. You've just failed a curriculum that doesn't really exist, written by some teenager based on a documentary. 3, you're counting the wrong things as something. Now, that same year as the birthday dinner thing, I ended up going through a breakup. Big, long relationship, the years. And it kind of ended abruptly and badly. I'm not going to go into all of it, but it was kind of an ending where you don't just lose the person, but you lose the whole future that you'd kind of been assuming for yourself all this time. The apartment you were going to get, the big plans, the version of your life that had them in it. Now, in my head, that whole relationship went immediately into the wasted time column. It was years of my life. And what did I have to show for it? Nothing. But worse than nothing, I felt like I was starting over. While everyone else was at these dinners passing around balcony photos, I was learning how to cook for one person and figure out which friends were actually mine. Except, and this took me a long time to be able to say, but honestly, it's not as a coping thing, but because it's true. That breakup built more of me than almost anything else I've done. I mean, it's the reason I learned to be alone without falling apart. And I mean actually alone, like evenings and weekends alone, no one to really text about the small stuff alone. It's the reason I finally figured out what I want instead of just orbiting another person's plans. It's honestly a big part of the reason I'm sitting here making these videos at all, because when your life gets demolished down to the foundation, you weirdly get to choose what to rebuild it on. And I chose a bit differently than I would have before. But here's the thing. Stuff like that doesn't count at a birthday dinner because, well, I mean, imagine actually saying that. Someone asks, so what's new with you? And you go, well, I spent this year learning how to be okay on my own. I mean, it just doesn't work. There's no photo to pass around. You can't make this big announcement. But that skill, being okay by myself, it's the thing everything else gets built on top of. The videos, the confidence, all of it started there. It's probably the most valuable thing I've ever gotten out of a year. It just doesn't really sound like anything when you say it out loud. And that's the third break in the scoreboard. I've done nothing only counts the stuff that comes with a certificate. A job title counts. An apartment counts. Surviving something that nearly took you out? It counts for nothing, apparently. Getting through a whole year where getting through the year was the achievement? Nada. Becoming noticeably less of an idiot than you were a year ago. Learning to apologize properly, to manage your own head, to not torch relationships over your ego? Nothing, apparently. Meanwhile, some guy who got handed a job through his dad's friend has officially done something and gets to talk at dinner. That math is it's insane. Yet we all use it. Real progress is relative to where you started and what it cost you. I mean, if someone grows up with money and connections and a stable home, yeah, they probably get a decent job. Fine, good for them, I mean, genuinely. But if you fought your way to that same place from chaos, that is not the same achievement. It's a bigger one, and it goes deeper than money. I mean, if trusting people is hard for you because of what you've been through, then letting one person in, even just a little bit, is a genuine achievement. If your head is a difficult place to live, then every ordinary-looking day you put together is carrying weight that nobody sees. An inch of progress for some people is a mile. It doesn't come with a big announcement. And some of the biggest things that you've ever done are completely invisible, including, and this is a problem, to you. Now, here's the part I actually need you to kind of hear. I didn't really fix this feeling by achieving something, all right? I want to be very clear about that, because, I mean, that's what I assumed the fix was. I figured, okay, I feel like I've done nothing, so the solution is obvious. Go do a big, visible, dinner, table-worthy thing, and that feeling will die and go away. So I went, and I did do things. Stuff I would have killed for at that birthday dinner actually happened. But the feeling didn't die. It just moved the goalposts. There was always another table, always someone further along, always some new version of that guy with the promotion. I mean, I'd hit a thing, and then that thing would immediately stop counting, because, well, now the next thing was the real one, and then that's when it kind of finally clicked. The feeling was never about my actual life. It was about the measuring I was doing. I mean, you cannot out-achieve a broken scoreboard. It'll reprocess anything you do into not enough forever, because that's the only output it has. What actually helped me was way smaller and dumber than some big achievement. I simply stopped asking, am I where I should be? Which, honestly, is an unanswerable question to begin with, because the should belongs to the fake curriculum from point 2. I instead started asking one question instead. What's right for me right now? And that's it. Not compared to the table, just this month, this year, given where I actually started and what I've actually been through, what is the next right thing? And the weird part is, the moment I switched to measuring against my own last chapter instead of everyone else's current one, I could suddenly see progress everywhere. It had been there the whole time. I mean, years of it. I just had the wrong scoreboard plugged in, so none of it registered. Oh, and one more thing, because I know probably some of you are just sitting there feeling a bit lost on top of feeling behind. I'd actually argue that feeling lost is a much better sign than you might think. I mean, the people who should be worried are the ones who feel nothing. Same person every decade, no itch, no pull toward anything. Feeling behind at least means some part of you still wants something. The feeling isn't telling you you've failed. It's telling you you're comparing. I mean, those are two completely different problems, except one of them is actually real. So, you haven't done anything. I mean, you've done a huge amount that doesn't fit on a highlight reel, or some timeline a 15-year-old stole from strangers, graded by judges who were never actually watching. So rip up the scoreboard. Start counting from where you started. And next time you're at that dinner and it's your turn and your mind goes blank, remember that the guy with the promotion might be sitting there wishing he had your blank. Here's my question, and actually sit with this one. What is one thing that you've been through, survived, learned, became, that you have never once counted as an achievement, purely because it's not the kind of thing people announce at a dinner party? Put it down in the comments. I guarantee you that someone's gonna read it, recognize their own version of it, and give themselves credit for the first time. I mean, your comment might be the scoreboard fix for somebody else. I'm August, by the way, and if this helps, be sure to stick around. That's it for today. We'll talk soon.